knowing you from TV as a kid.
Yeah.
That was like a huge thing.
Getting Baywatch was different. I'm a kid, star of a show. I'm on the cover of every magazine. I mean, nothing can stop this train.
Jeremy Jackson went from Hollywood fame to becoming one of the nation's top holotropic breathwork teachers.
There's so many forms of breathwork out there right now. Wim Hof's huge. Overcoming human biology, which is a beautiful part. I try to glitch the nervous system. I'm not trying to help you be better naturally. I'm helping you to access supernatural.
I am the experiment.
You can write your own story.
Just not stop trying and don't give in to the fear.
There's so many forms of breathwork out there right now. Wim Hof's huge because he's just clickbait and ice and overcoming human biology, which is a beautiful part of it.
Sure.
Overcoming what you think you're physically capable of. And then there's a lot of different breathing that's been around for years, box breathing and different breath practices that are supposed to regulate the nervous system. And so if I had to come up with what I do, I try to glitch the nervous system. I'm not trying to help you be better naturally. I'm helping you to access supernatural. Not in the natural, but supernatural. Something above our pay grade. Something beyond our comfort zone and outside of our present level of awareness.
Wow.
And so regulation of the nervous system, vagus nerve relaxes, oxygen levels upregulate, hydrogen starts to enter the cell, carbon dioxide regulates. And then you take somebody to this place and it's like all of a sudden, clink, you're like, where am I? Holy shit. You see your deceased grandma, your puppy from when you were 6 is licking you in the ear. You feel it real as day. Repressed memories coming through, weeping, sobbing, tearing, all this kind of amazing stuff. And people come out, they're like, I have no idea what happened. What was that? I'm like, that's what we're here for. To go beyond what we think is possible so that we can continue to do that in every day. I say that breath work is a microcosm of the macrocosm. You're not going to experience anything while laying down for an hour that you're not going to experience for the rest of your life. You're going to move, you're going to feel, you're going to smell, you're going to see, you're going to face discomfort, you're going to hear all of your own, your inner cheerleader and your inner critic, they're all going to come through. And if you can do it there and go to this place that you just go right onto the other side, you're like, oh, I feel so fucking good. What was that? I feel incredible. I feel calm. There's warmth in my hands and all this stuff comes up. Like, yeah, that's how everything is in life. That's how that job interview is going to be. That's how that new business you're thinking about starting. It's going to be the same shit. You're going to be super insecure, try to talk yourself out of it, think there's no way you can continue to do it. And if you do, you're going to be like, whoa. It's like, and people get kind of weirded out when I start talking like this, but you enter a new dimension. You go beyond what you thought was capable and embrace the mystery. That's like what life lives to me.
People are transcending almost to a different state of being, and then the goal is to stay there.
Just to experience
it. To
experience that you didn't die. You're safe. Your own breath didn't kill you. That feeling that you didn't want to feel, those tears that you didn't want, that laughter that you were too embarrassed to do in front of a group of people, and then you did it, and you're like, that feels so good. Like, it's contempt prior to investigation is what happens a lot with breath work. People, it's not for me. I don't know. Well, have you ever had a transcended experience just from your own breath? Right? You have this beautiful medicine right on your grill, and you have access to it all the time. And
God, man, you're getting me fired up. And so obviously early days of Wim Hof, I was super interested in him because of there's like sit around talk when you're younger or even now about, maybe there's more senses, maybe there's stuff we forgot that our ancestors knew that we forgot. And then Wim Hof appeared to unlock something that maybe we lost, it just got forgotten, right? And maybe this is how we made it through the Ice Age. Maybe we learned we could, totally overtake things that were otherwise believed to be autonomous and control things in our body. So I was just like, this motherfucker figured out something that maybe we always knew, and then he just brought it back, and he accidentally stumbled onto it, and it's going to be a new thing. So that was my interest early on, and then I started playing with it. And then, Brian McKenzie?
I've heard the name.
you and I'll get you guys connected too. He's a he's got like, is he a New York Times bestselling author and stuff. He's a
Breathe.
No, that's another guy.
Okay.
He trains, like, do you follow CrossFit?
I did. I used to.
The head chick, he was her coach for breathwork. John Jones. He worked with John Jones. Nice. But he's got all this. Him and Andrew Huberman are buddies, and they do all this different stuff. And he has an app on breathing. So there's another section which is like breath for performance and exercise, right? He's got this gear system he uses. He's a brilliant guy.
Cool.
So I've been playing around with his stuff or thinking about that, and I've hired him to work for me in different areas. And then I've started reading about holotropic breathing.
Yep. That's my origins.
I think that's what it sounds like. Yeah. And then I'm sure you know about the guy that was studying LSD. And then do you know about
Stanislav Grof?
Yeah, I think so. And he had to pivot. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, so that kind of in that early days when you had Timothy Leary, is it right?
Yeah.
And Ram Dass and Stanislav Grof and Ram Dass went this way and Leary went that way. Stanislav Grof went that way. And so they call it like, Stanislav Grof started calling it emergency breathing. Emergency breathing, like emerging into, and he, in his methodology kind of was based around people who were having psychotic breaks, seeming psychotic breaks. And that these psychotic breaks weren't actually bad. That we needed to stop medicating these people and stop running from, what they were going through, and take them through it. Right. The only way out is through. And a lot of times we stop right in the middle because it's too scary. And you've heard what we resist persists. And one thing I love saying in breathwork is the only way to heal it is to feel it. So when the student's ready, the master appears. And so to kind of go deeper into these things in a safe setting, in a safe environment, knowing you're not going to have, 10 years, I've never had somebody have a heart attack, pass out, and have a panic attack. I've had hundreds, if not thousands of people stop breathing because they thought they were gonna, So what happens is the human mind starts placing circumstances from the past on your present experience, and it doesn't allow you to go any further than that. That's another microcosm of the macrocosm, right? Applying past scenarios to present situations makes the future turn out the same.
Sure.
Because I'm living in the past and the present. Even though I don't know it, I think I've collected this data for a useful information to go, I had a panic attack one time. It felt just like this, so I need to stop. I used to play that game with my friends and we would all pass out. And it feels similar to that, and so I can't do this. But time after time, every single time anybody is willing to experience that, to go into that, they come out with something profound, and it's their own. That's one of the things that I think is so priceless and precious, is that it's their own awareness. They had their own realization. It wasn't told to them. There's a difference between like kind of thinking, feeling, and like knowing. Like, oh my gosh, I know. And so it's just more personally empowering.
And the word emergence too. So it's just like almost like the thing that you needed to know is coming out.
It. Yeah.
Is that it's just like it's coming out, and you don't like, holy shit! I just all of a sudden had this vision of something that you weren't thinking about at all. Is that what happens?
Well, it usually shows up. The easiest way, without getting too psychologically evaluating and stuff like that, because diagnosis and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's get out of there.
Yeah, the easiest way to address it is like somatically, So whether it was, sexual abuse, or, some people really believe or think they have a demonic attachment, or another personality or things like this. So, we will give that a color, a texture, a shape, a size, and we'll breathe through, and then they'll breathe, and it starts to change, and it starts to move. And when did this come into your body? And people are kind of letting go of traumas, of repressed memories, of demonic attachments, or is sometimes called a entity release, right? It's an energetic entity.
Oh, I know, exactly. Because
the body keeps a score in that way for sure, right? And do you know holotropic, it means, what it means? So halos is wholeness, halos, Latin. Mm-hmm. And tropic is moving toward, or attracted to. So it's moving toward wholeness is holotropic.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's really cool. I have no experience. I did a retreat one time. I sent my staff on a retreat, and I was dealing with something when we had somebody run a holotropic breathing session, so I never participated. It was weird. It wasn't because I didn't want to. I was like in the middle of something in the community kitchen. And I remember coming in there and was like, people were crying, and it was like, what in the hell is happening here?
Yeah.
And then I started reading about it, and I'm not sure if this is right, so I don't know if I read this, so I could be fucked up, and I don't want to, if I say a fucked up thing, then. But I heard that the guy that was studying it or developed it was studying LSD before that, and then because LSD was made illegal, he figured out how to use this to produce the same. Is that true?
Yeah, well, he didn't like that people called it an altered state.
Okay.
Yeah, altered state is a generally accepted term, but he believed that this was
Is it a psychedelic experience?
It could absolutely be. Sometimes it's not, and it doesn't need to be in order to be really effective. But even with psychedelics, many people will go do psychedelics and not see anything or hear anything,
That's true.
but they'll get some type of message. They'll get some type of clarity. They'll get a breakthrough, right? And even if they think they get no breakthrough, like somehow over time, they're like, oh my gosh, that's what that meant. It just depends on the person, what they're really ready for, what they're prepared for, how their God needs to talk to them in that freaking moment, It's really kind of a sacred deal. But you can take people into this altered experience, which is maybe just considered a enhanced experience or an activation experience. And so, in breath work, it's kind of like an improv. Right? So in improv, it's always yes and. It's never like, you're like, hey, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time. And so it's never like, what? I don't know you. Because that ruins improv, right? And then now we're just in an argument. It's like, so yeah, and I picked your kid up from work. And you got to be like, what kid? Yeah, oh, how's she doing? Right? Yes, thank you for picking my kid up. I didn't want you to pick my kid up, right? As long as you're accepting and we can
It's got to be this there's got to roll back and forth. Yeah.
Right. So it's further into the story, right? And so much of the traditional model is like, no, let's table that. That's
traditional
wrong.
Model of breathwork, traditional model of therapy.
Traditional model is like therapy would be like, okay, that's, you seeing people, right? No, I'm seeing that's psychosis, right? Or that's an ideation or whatever. There's none of that. It's like, yes, and what are they telling you? And what does that mean to you? And the truth shall set us free. And when their nervous system, yes, indeed, is calibrated, when they're oxygen rich and the muscles are relaxing and all that kind of stuff is happening and they feel safe, the story that we thought we knew what it was becomes so much lighter. That's been my experience. So much lighter, not heavy. Afterwards, it's like, that trauma is almost silly.
What the hell do you think's happening? Like from a spiritual sense or from a neurochemical sense, or
I think
is there any information about this that people can?
There's some really interesting HVB. If you just look up, they're starting to do far more research on it. HVB, high ventilation breathing. That's what they're calling it for the studies. And brain mapping is showing almost identical brain waves to psychedelic experiences with, like mushrooms or a DMT or things of that nature. It is very possible, although not clinically proven, that people do release their own endogenous DMT, which is, from my perspective. So I'm going to just speak from my perspective. What I believe is happening is I believe we are releasing our own endogenous DMT. We release it when we're born. We release it when we die. People have pre-death euphoria and memory recall all of a sudden, like they get healthier, like right before they're going to croak. Commonly, understood in the medical industry. probably responsible for near-death experiences where people have this radical white light experience and have these deep, profound realizations and breakthroughs and change their whole lives when they come back, have a message, you know. So I believe when we hyper-oxygenate the bloodstream, and as we go into different breath holds, corresponding with like root locks, right, clenching, sutures of your skull open up just a tiny, tiny bit when you inhale and close when you exhale. Cerebral spinal fluid going up the spine. Oxygen's coming into the cell. A lot of people now in the medical industry are saying, like, we kind of breathe through our blood more than our lungs. We get more oxygen from our bloodstream than we do our lungs. So the lungs are bringing in this oxygen. It's going into the bloodstream. The bloodstream's holding the oxygen. We hold the breath. In the breath hold, it's sending the oxygen into the cells. And when oxygen hits cells, it creates hydrogen. The sun burns off hydrogen. Super explosive, super powerful gas. This is antibacterial, antiviral, you know, anti-cancer. So in essence, right there, that's healing.
Sure.
That is, you know, natural healing. Just at face value, that's what that is. So, you know, out of the woo-woo, scientifically, that's natural healing. In root locks or butthole clenching, you know, and a lot of the screams.
On the short, you got to write butthole clenching. We get a lot of people to...
Let's talk about butthole clenching. My name is Jeremy Jackson, and today we're going to talk about butthole clenching.
There you go.
I do these chest bangs, and so our lungs have little bubbles of carbon dioxide that kind of cling to them. And when we bang on our chest, those carbon dioxide bubbles come up and more oxygen come in. So we're just getting every trick we can get to get somebody highly oxygenated. And I believe when this is really achieved, and we hit that glitch in the nervous system, you forget that you I don't know if you forget you're a human being, but I think you remember that you're both a spiritual and a human. You're flesh and energy.
Wow.
You know? And so there's this liminal space right down the middle where you don't have to attach completely to the physical. You have permission to like feel the etheric, feel the energetic. And it's kind of hard not to when your hands are buzzing, you know, and you feel like you're floating and you can't pick your hands up off the ground even if you wanted to. Or in many cases, astral projecting, where people are looking at their bodies from outside of their bodies, walking around the room, having a full realization that they're not in their body, wondering if it's a dream, and then coming back into their body, sometimes coming in and out. That's like kind of hard to deny that something different is going on. And in that environment of gas exchange, I think the lungs, more so the research I've done is saying that the lungs are more responsible than the pituitary gland. We previously thought it was like the endocrine system and the pineal gland was releasing DMT, but I think it's interaction between pituitary and the lungs, and we release our own endogenous DMT, which is known as the spirit molecule. And people are having just big spiritual awakenings and realizing that there's so much more to life than we fell into through the Newtonian model of living. That it's got to be one rung on the ladder at a time. And you know what? I can jump over the wall. I don't need this frickin' ladder. Oh, wait a minute. The wall's not there. The wall was a preconceived opinion of a limited mind, and the mind starts to open up.
There's other people talking about this sort of thing, but I've never heard anyone talk about it in the way you are.
I want to make it as palatable for people as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I want to bring, the nervous system wants information, right? It's actually something I learned from Rich Divini. Do you know him? Oh man, I got to link you guys up. SEAL Team 6 commander for 13 years. Wrote a book, Masters of Uncertainty, and the attributes. You would love the attributes. It's all about how to build the most effective teams in business.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Employing Navy SEAL practices to make incredibly high functioning teams. He's a sweetheart. He has a huge heart for addiction. But his book, Masters of Uncertainty, he breaks down some of the protocols about going into the unknown and how the more you can know that you know, the further you can go into the unknown.
The more that you know, say it again.
The more that you can remind yourself of that you do know,
okay,
the more you can go off into the unknown.
Got it.
So he breaks it down into duration, pathway, and objective. Duration, pathway, and objective. He says if one or two are gone, you go into what's called autonomic arousal, right? So when you know how long it's going to take, you know your route, and you know where you're going, you're okay.
Understanding sort of takes the fear quotient, just brings it down. I see.
So that's kind of been...
I could see why it would come from him too. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of been my play with helping people. Hey, here's what's going on. Here's how long it's going to take. Here's how many breaths we're going to take. Here's how long we're going to hold our breath for. Here's what we're going to do. Here's why we do it. This is why we bang on our chest. And so it's like, okay, so the nervous system's going, okay, I know. This isn't... we might get somewhere very unfamiliar, but at least I know the duration and the pathway and the objective, so I can not short circuit myself trying to get there.
Have you considered naming it something different than breathwork?
Well, Energy is the company.
What does G stand for?
It stands for anything you want it to.
Okay, I was going to say, is it inner gangster? Is it inner God?
Yep, all of them.
Okay.
Goddess, God, growth, genius, guru, galaxy. It's about tapping into your inner potential of that capital G that everybody has in them.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then with breath work or the energy method, is that?
Yeah, it's great.
And would the energy method be the totality of Jeremy Jackson and all that you do, or is that truly the term that you've used to describe this practice that you're going to be probably developing till the day you die?
Definitely will.
Is it about the practice, the physical practice of breathing? Is that the energy method?
I think the energy method is breath is the doorway, and remembering who you truly are is the outcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I love it. 5 years ago I wouldn't have said this, but you absolutely going to treatment centers and saying, I do psychedelic breath work, but we don't use psychedelics. People would probably be all about it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's in this path right now that psychedelics are the panacea. And if you can produce the same experience.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to get away from energy. No. I'm not trying to give you business advice.
Psychedelic breath work?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people said something like that, but if you're creating psychedelic experiences through breath work, there's already a ton of people saying that that's healing everybody. Yeah. Probably maybe more than they should. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just... nothing's the cure-all.
There is no one pill for sure. I got plenty of people that hate it.
Right.
That refuse.
Yeah. So when I'm wondering if people listening to this get the whole picture here. So you do this as a job, and you have people that work for you, and those people go to different treatment centers, hospitals, mental health facilities. You work privately with people.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it always for mental health and healing, or is it coaching?
No, we have high achievers, successful people. We got the Balanced Man retreat in Costa Rica every 3 months. We do a lot of breath work on that retreat.
Okay.
And we got some one-on-one clients. We just launched an online certification program. We went through our level 1. So we're level 1, level 2, level 3, and then we're going to have a master level where we actually do business coaching and teach people how to get the right accreditations they need to basically mirror in their hometown what we've done in Orange County, to go out and book up $500,000 worth of business a year and, have fun and help people have income and manage a team and, marketing and all that kind of stuff.
When you say we, who is we?
So I have a partner, Eliana Liss. She's kind of the brains of scheduling and, invoices and the bills and all that kind of stuff. It's like
an operating officer kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two of you, and then you have people that are teaching the energy method to people.
Team of 10. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
62 groups a week in Orange County.
Holy cow!
I want to get to 75. That's my goal.
You will. We need to get one going here on a regular.
I'd love to.
Luke's shaking his head. Will you remind me of this, and we'll get Bobby to lock it in like a consistent.
Shoo!
Yeah. The guys loved you. It's been, when did you do it here?
About a month ago, maybe.
Yeah. So there's still guys around that were, there's definitely guys around.
Sweetheart.
Yeah. You've been in my world much longer. Well, obviously from knowing you from TV as a kid.
Yeah.
That was like a huge thing. But
only for us old guys.
Right.
Get these youngsters.
Tell my son about you, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you got to watch Baywatch. I was like, he's probably gonna love it because he's 14, and like I remember being 14 and watching the. Yeah. Anyways,
watching the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
all the slow motion running and the whole deal. But I was describing, David Hasselhoff and the whole thing, and I was like, it was really iconic, and it was such a cool thing. But later, when I first moved here in '99. I got a job at what used to be Rockin' Java that became Cafe Ruba.
Yep.
And I ran into you there a couple of times. I never spoke to you, but people were like, oh, that's Hobie from Baywatch or Jeremy Jackson. And you were like very cool, like, very edgy. You were still in the middle of a lot of shit.
Yeah. Definitely emo face, to say the least.
Yeah. But you had that same, you carried that same energy that you have now. It's much more peaceful now. Felt a little scary.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I've known about you in this sort of area that we live in Orange County for 25 years. You know? And I think a lot's happened from when I first saw you until then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that time, 99, 2000, were you sober at that time?
I first got sober in 2000.
Okay.
So, and I had been in LA, so yeah, probably right about 2000, I was newly sober. But, that was in the era of XTZTs, so I was staying up all night, shooting pool, surfing in the morning, womanizing and just, whatever, insecure.
How long before that was the end of your time in Baywatch?
So I quit Baywatch when I was 18 in like 98.
Okay.
But I came back and I did something, I think in 99, and then I came back and did something in 2001. So literally 11 years from 1990 to 2001.
So you started in 90. How old were you?
10. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Formative years, if you think about it, where your brain is expanding and learning and being in that high intensity type of situation. They're $1 million days, multi-million-dollar days, and having stuff ride on you. And it's an interesting way to hone a mind.
Yeah, it's the thing, right? Like the childhood star, and I don't know a lot about it, Jeremy, but I can try to imagine. And I know you've told this story so many times, so my goal always is to have some sort of a different story told when we sit down, and so I won't get into like. I'm going to ask you questions about it, but I don't want to put you through, like, give me your whole bio kind of thing. But were you doing acting before that, and then you just sort of got a break, or was it like kind of one of those randoms someone runs into in a coffee shop, and how did it go?
Well, so the deal was I had this single mom, and I just loved Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley and Knight Rider, and I would just see these iconic like characters, these figures that seemed to wield like real influence and power, that seemed to be so swaggy, so confident, so exuberant, so skilled, so talented. And I just started like obsessing, practicing dance moves, practicing accents and dance routines and
How old are you?
accents. I split my head open on a tippy cup. The sippy cups that go around and around?
Yeah.
So I didn't have the lid on it, and I was already practicing Michael Jackson moves when I was a year old. So I got 126 stitches in my forehead because I fell trying to spin.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, very, very young. I didn't know entertainment industry was an industry. I didn't know it was a job. I didn't know you could get rich. I just knew that whatever that was, I wanted to do it. And I did it nonstop. I got kicked out of school for doing it all the time. I won every talent show. I would make my mom and all her girlfriends sit down on the couch and give me my 5 minutes to come out and, give them the performance I had been working on for 8 hours in my room. And so my mom just kind of randomly was like, I'm going to call like an agent in LA.
Sure.
Who's a good agent? Never had any family in the entertainment industry or anything like that. And so we went and met an agent, and that agent turned out to be like a pretty big time child agent specialist at the time, and started going on auditions at 6 years old. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. I wonder like what it was at such a young age that made you recognize these performers and be so drawn to them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like the older I get, the more I'm trying to recapture that type of draw and that type of pull, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. I don't have all the facts figured out. I don't know the hows, but I know the whys. I know what, there's a intuitive pull there, and I just loved it. I was curious about it. I wanted to do it. I didn't care how bad it hurt. I didn't care if I fell and hit my head and needed to get stitches. It didn't hold me back from doing Michael Jackson spins the next day, right? And there was just an unconscious desire there,
Yeah. I think about it's so stars and famous people, talented people that we're all watching, right? These sort of icons of our society. It's easy to go, oh, that person got lucky or that person got a break. There's also, and I don't know what it is. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. There's there's a thing that people can have that make them, it's impossible to ignore them. This sort of quality. I wonder if you had one or two that you instantly honed in on this.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it and it clicked. I said, I can do that. I can be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you became it.
Yeah.
So you ended up auditioning so did you know what Baywatch was when you?
I didn't really. I think, maybe once or twice trailers, because Baywatch had been on, I think a year or two previous to that. They did one season. But I watched Knight Rider religiously, and I was like,
that was rad, huh? Remember the cars? Like you could buy the toy car.
I had the big wheel.
Oh,
the big wheel with
nice.
So I drive my Knight Rider big wheel. So yeah, I remember it well. I was still in a car seat, and my mom would bring the car seat in because the neighborhood we lived in, people would steal your car seat because it's worth money. Sure. That's the kind of neighborhood and kind of financial situation I grew up in, and that was my seat. I would put that in front of the TV, the dial knob with the antenna TV, and I would park it like it's hot and watch Knight Rider.
That's so cool. And so then you get called about this audition for Baywatch, and do you remember that well? Or
yeah,
you were pretty young. You were how old?
I was 9 when I auditioned for it. I was down here in Orange County. I was swimming in the pool with my friends, and I was having fun, and I didn't want to go. It's like whatever. Random call, like this isn't planned. I'm having fun, and so my mom insisted that we go, and she was like, "It's Knight Rider. You might play the son of Knight Rider," and I was like, "Okay, I'll go." And so yeah, I totally remember it, and never would have guessed in a million years where it would end up. But I do know that any time I walked into an audition, it was always like, this is mine. I'm going to get this one. Nobody can do it the way I can.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, I didn't know that you have that. I think I could sense it, but that performer trait, right? And so there's a lot of talented actors that aren't even really performers. They're just, you know what I mean? They're even maybe more reclusive. They don't want to be in front of people.
Yeah.
And then there's people that just love to entertain. Yeah. And it sounds like you're that way.
Yeah. That was me. I didn't know about manifestation. I didn't know about visualization. Sure. I didn't know about that stuff, how it works, but I just did it.
So then once you started doing it, obviously this changes your life because you're making money, your family's making money.
Yeah.
And what's the lifestyle like? Like, is it every day that you're shooting and you're not in school? And
Yeah, well, it kind of started before that. So, at 6, I started getting a lot of commercials. Between 6 and 9, I did like 60 TV commercials. I did a couple movies, and some TV shows. Like I was in the Wonder Years, and I was the Frosted Mini Wheats commercial and Mattel, and so I was getting real gigs. M&M's, special Halloween edition commercial for M&M's with special effects and all that kind of stuff. So I had already been like kicking it on the Universal Studios lot, like sneaking into the Psycho House, you know, when I was like 8 years old, having fun like that. I really felt a part like of the industry. But you know, getting Baywatch was different. And so there was like series regular star of a show that, you know, can go all the time. And it was summers. So every summer we'd drive from Orange County up to LA, 5 days a week, to Malibu. And yeah, it'd be like 3 months of gangbusters, you know?
And being a kid in that environment with all the adults and everything, how was that?
It was torment, I guess you could say, would probably be the word.
How do you say it? What do you say?
Torment.
Torment.
Yeah.
Okay. Torment, like boring because you're a little kid, or?
I'm a kid. They're all in their 20s, right? I mean, David Hasselhoff might have been in his 30s, but most of them, Pamela Anderson and David Charvet and all these young, beautiful people, they're in their 20s. They're making like the best mistakes of their lives, and they do not want a kid snooping around asking them questions, trying to be part of it.
Were you just like enamored with them?
With everything. I was hyper. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to be a part of everything. I wanted to understand everything. I wanted to go out to the club with them after. You know what I mean? I was
Which you did eventually.
Yeah, eventually. I made up for all the lost. In my mind, I had lost a lot of years, and I was going to make up for it. And you know, probably to the point of pestery. You know, and some people handled it really well. Pamela Anderson was always very sweet, very much a big sister energy, for kind.
She seems amazing now.
Yeah, I love what she's doing.
On a plane, and she was no makeup. She was reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Nice.
And I was like, that's her, yeah. And I ended up, I kept getting stuck behind her, like walking behind her, and then standing next to her at the, and I was not intentionally trying to do it, but her whole energy, I was just like, she just seems like a very soulful, down-to-earth person. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't talk to her. I didn't want to bug her, but yeah, she seemed cool. Nothing like the picture painted in Baywatch.
Right. Well, next time if you run into her again, you can be like, hey, Jeremy Jackson's my buddy. You have something to talk about.
Yeah, there you go.
And she was always very kind, demure, sweet, you know, like that. But a lot of people weren't. I mean, imagine in your 20s, you know, a hyperactive 10-year-old kid, you know, wanting to know everything, hear everything, be a part of everything. Yeah. It's like, gosh, probably so fed up with it. So there was that part. And, you know, I'm dyslexic. The ADD, like learning was a nightmare for me. So doing standard textbook stuff was just like, you know, I'd rather walk on hot coals, basically. You know, so I needed that experiential stuff, which was great in part, right? Great in part because normal school I stopped going to in 3rd grade because I was working enough that I missed too much to keep going in and out.
So you got homeschool and
and I was doing nothing but getting in trouble in regular school anyway. Thank God for the entertainment industry. Like if the entertainment industry didn't scoop me out of school, I would have been like a gang member. You know, I would have gotten into something not good. I would have found a different way for myself. So I had some coaches and some teachers on set, one in particular who was incredible, that I carry with me to this day. But most teachers didn't know how to get me to sit down and do anything. So I got away with that. My education on there was like marketing, dude. I was like, all these prop department, they got all this free stuff, right? So I was calling Oakley, I was calling Adidas, I was calling Quicksilver, I was calling Billabong, I was calling everybody, Shark watches. If I liked something, I would 411, dude, call 411 information. Give me the number for so-and-so, right, company. And I would say, hi, my name's, and dude, no joke, 11 years old. My name's Jeremy Jackson, and I'm on Baywatch. And the wardrobe stylist, and I cleared it with the producers, and they said I can wear whatever I want on the show. Will you send me a box of stuff? I was doing walkthroughs like, dude, I had a garage full of stuff.
That is so cool.
I took major advantage of that.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That was fun.
That's so. I think my son's 14, and I could totally see him doing that kind of thing if he saw that opportunity. You know, what was it like? You idolizing David Hasselhoff through Knight Rider.
Yeah.
What was it like the first time that you met him?
He's bigger than life, bigger than life. He's one of those people. He has that presence. He has that energy. It's like, of course you're famous, you got just an air of exuberance on you. And so it was educational in that way, to be in the presence of somebody who has like created a career for themselves and done a lot. But from a 10-year-old boy's perspective, I'm that same mind that begins with the end in mind. Like you were talking about with, hey, you got to pay this forward. Like, hey, I'm not starting this without, this is where I see it going. I think that's beautiful, but I digress. Anyway, I'm thinking David Hasselhoff's going to be my dad. Like, for sure, he's going to fall in love with my mom. My mom's sweet. My whole life's going to change, rather than being this kid with a single parent on, housing and low income housing and living in Newport Beach, making $3,000 a week is incredible. But when you come from nothing, that's gone every month. It's gone, Sure. So there was never any like, woo, look at our bank accounts blowing up. It's like, we need a car, a new car for the first time in our lives. All that money goes to the new car. So I had big plans, I had big plans that he was going to fall in love with my mom. He was going to be my best friend. He's going to be my surrogate dad, Wow. And he was in his 30s, the biggest star in the world, worrying about, which extra he was going to hook up with, Do
you think he knew that you felt that way about him?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And we've had beautiful, deeper conversations. He's, shed many tears wishing he could have been there for me. We've had a chance to really hash that out, But he was struggling with his own addictions and alcoholism, and that's been pretty public. And it's interesting, I had an alcoholic dad I never got to know, and now I got this alcoholic superstar TV dad that I want to know so bad, but he's too busy, too busy.
That's like so extraordinary. I mean, you think about, like, certainly your reverence for him and the way that you held him in your mind would have bled into your interactions with him when you were on camera.
Of course.
Do you think that played a big part?
Oh yeah.
And why that connection seems so real?
Totally. I mean,
were you cast? Did they know that about you? Were you cast with that in mind?
Well, this kind of the story goes, and if you can pull some content from Hulu. Moment in the Sun after Baywatch. It's on Hulu right now. But he kind of goes into tears and he tells the story, and the story goes that I came in for the audition, and he really liked me out the gate, and it was between me and Leonardo DiCaprio. It was between us two.
Oh shit.
And so he's trying to pick between the two of us, and one of the things, he won't admit to this, but one of the deciding factors was the kid who was Hobie before me went through a growth spurt, and he wasn't as easy to pick up. So David wanted a kid he could pick up and throw on his shoulder, swing around on the beach, and look masculine and strong. And I was very small for my age, and so was Leonardo. So the two skinniest kids, right? But he said that the thing that got me was he asked me if I had a dad, and I said no, and he asked me about it, and I said, oh, I don't need a dad, and I said I got a great mom or something like that, and I kind of sloughed it off a little bit, and I guess I just kind of burrowed into his heart a little bit, and that's the kind of effed up part. Is like he always really wanted to like slide in and be somebody for me, and he just couldn't. Or he could only in the ways that he did, But there was always that draw, and I felt that draw, and I wanted that draw. But like, let's get to that tipping point where you just say,
he's creating his own universe. You're
yes.
Like, Mom and David are gonna like go together.
Screw being famous.
Night Riders.
Screw the movie.
Yeah.
You know what, kid? You're worth it. You know what I mean? You're worth it.
Yeah. Holy shit. What a crazy world that you've had. So you're young and you're doing Baywatch, and that went on until you were how old?
Well, 21 was the last time I was on set filming. Yeah.
And what was it like moving into adulthood within the Hollywood world. And
and this interesting kind of, hindsight's kind of 20/20, right? But so they say, but it was so blurry and there was so much going on that it's kind of still hard to put the pieces together. But I kind of do believe that, it seems that, for sure, when I was a little kid, I so badly wanted to be an adult. I wanted to be grown. I didn't want to be cute. I wanted to be cool, right? I didn't want to be snuggly. I wanted to be dangerous, And I also, had that real desire to like go deep with the work. Like I wanted to sweat, crack my head up on 103. I was dancing ballet. Like I wanted to get hit with a ruler. I wanted to be driven to excellence. I wanted to weep. I spent time kind of running lines and doing scenes for movies with like Oscar Award winner, like Sally Kirkland. And she would sit with Mom, go out, and she would sit with me and bring stuff out of me, right? It's painful, but it's also powerful and beautiful. So I wanted to like go places. And so as I was getting 16, 17, and I want the red shorts. I want to be getting badass chicks. I want to be breaking rules. I want to be getting in fights or whatever. I want my character to like be grown up. And I was getting a lot of movie offers. And so I can't help but, consider that maybe this desire to be pulled into sort of a bad boy life, right? Hang out with criminals, hang out with prostitutes and drug dealers and go to sordid places and find that edge, right? And push that edge and be ugly and be gritty and be raw and not sleep and not be pretty and not be groomed and beach boy, right? Like, let me see if I can just unpolish the beach boy. If that could have been like a really different shift in my acting career, that I could have gone the way of the people that you see do it successfully, however they usually die, like Heath Ledger. So there's a few people out there that were child actors, and they kind of took this dark turn, but it really developed their
they got so much substance to it.
And
that's the challenge, I think, and it's a challenge with everybody in like the modern world. Is I'm a woodworker too, right? And so I have a shop over there, and I have, when I'm in front of my computer, I'm talking all the time. Everything's about feelings, and it's like there's a softness that just gets developed from being in these environments, and then you get dirty and you get beat up, and your hands are bleeding. It changes you. It's like it's so clear how there's another part of us that's meant to emerge, and I think a lot of Hollywood folks, they get to the point where they're so soft and squishy, no matter what character they put on, you're still just like, that's not real. But then you get a guy like Heath Ledger, and you're like, that motherfucker has
seen some shit, felt shit. Yeah, he has.
But then, like, you earn that through self-destruction and hookers and silly places and deviant behavior. Right? Is there another way to? I don't know. But I see the draw. So you're like, so at this point in your life too, you're on this path, and I imagine you're 18, 17, 18 years old, and you're thinking this is the whole future, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be this mega
forever.
star.
This is it. This is my path. How could it not be?
Right.
I'm flying to Europe. I did 2 albums and 5 singles. I had top 10 hits. Debuted at number 3 on the Billboard charts in Holland. My song is their theme song. The Dutch soccer team Ajax, it's their anthem. They're running out to it. I'm on the cover of every magazine. I mean, nothing can stop this train, right?
And that freedom, you have this freedom, right? So women, all these things. And how's your relationship with your mom, by the way, at this time? At 17, 18.
So, of course.
She's just trying to contain this wild stallion.
God, poor mom, man. Yeah, trying to contain the wild stallion. And super protective, overprotective, and a sly dog. My mom is the ultimate cock block.
Sure.
The ultimate cock block.
Good for her.
Yes, good for her indeed. Because my pants were on fire. Everything was on fire. Yeah. And so she probably saved me from many a demise, But as you know, nobody can stop us from where we want to go. I had lawyers, managers, publicists, agents, stylists, choreographers. I had teams, security guards, and teams around me, and it would just made it more fun to sneak away.
Yeah.
I would pay the security guard to sneak the girl back, and I would.
Sure.
It was. Can you imagine, like at 14, like, oh, let me look at this chessboard and figure out how I can manipulate this. I gotta wait till mom goes to sleep, and then he's gonna bring that. We'll sneak out. It just made it gamified fame for me.
It's incredible. I mean, I want to stay in this kind of path that we're on, but it's incredible to me that you're sitting here at, how old are you?
46.
So at 46, and you made it through. Like, how many people have that level of freedom without a lot of values to really attach to it, plus the hero's journey of the young man wanting to go out and test their mettle that just fucking kill themselves. Like, they don't make it. It
is the minority. I mean, little to none, right? You can think of far less success stories or people who are alive than we could name 10 or 20 of those guys that have died.
Why you? Why are you here?
Good question, man.
Yeah.
I'm here to find out.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
There's something about you, and we'll get into what you're doing now, which is more. I love talking about your past just because I think any civilian, meaning non-Hollywood person, is always fascinated with these stories. It's like you'll see it from this distance, but just like you and David Hasselhoff, there's this screen between you and this like altered world,
a mystique
that you're living in.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in what you're doing now. But I still want to hear a little bit more about. So you have all this freedom. You're a good-looking guy,
but never enough.
Tremendous amount of power.
A lot of freedom, but never enough.
Right.
Important point there. That's like the theme of, most of my life is never enough.
Explain.
Enough money, enough girls, enough fame, enough drugs, enough freedom. It was huge, but not enough.
How do you come to understand that as a 40-year-old man?
It's kind of everything, really. Life isn't about getting what you want, it's about wanting what you have. And from being on the cover of bodybuilding magazines, just yoked out, jacked, shredded, and being like, yeah, but, my glutes are lagging, that butt, like, kills everything. Focusing on what's missing costs me everything that I have. Every single time. It always has. Having that visualization as a kid of being a pop star and having seas of people chant my name and women passing out at my mere existence, right? If I have that, I'd be happy, And then, somebody else's picture is bigger on the front of the magazine than mine. What am I doing wrong? Like, I couldn't ever even really appreciate, nurture, be grateful for, cherish what I had because I was always looking at something that wasn't good enough, So that's one of the most valuable lessons. It will never be enough.
What's amazing, Jeremy, is that I've just discovered this intersection between, it's between you and everybody that struggles with addiction, I think, but what you're talking about is my obsession.
Yeah.
Like so I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on some of the things that we're working on right now, just because maybe another way for you to understand this. Yeah. So I have a theory, and it was the supposition, meaning that what we suppose was true when Treehouse started, and it was that the same traits being genetic drivers that produce addictive behavior are the same traits that produce high performance. So a coin with two sides. One is self-destruction and one is, complete flourishing.
Yeah.
And so what do I mean by that? Well, at the beginning it was a theory. Other people talk about it. People have frames for it. But I was just like playing with this. To me, it was not that there's a reason that these things exist in the population, in the human species.
Yeah.
So what's the reason? Well, if you do a thought experiment, you imagine that we're all on a desert island and there's no deserted island and there's no drugs or alcohol. And they say 1 in 10 people is got a predisposition to addiction worldwide.
Yes.
This is the static number for decades. How does that 10th out of 10 people, how does that 10th person act compared to the other 9. Okay, and the way that they would act is how you've described yourself since the beginning of this conversation. Never satisfied, novelty seeking, adventure seeking, rumination. It's just never enough. What's cool is we now know exactly what genes code for that. We know the polymorphisms that exist in the gene pool that make that happen. So there's a bunch of spiritual ways we could talk about this too, but I'm just going to go down the genetic side.
A lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah. So what's so beautiful about this is that I think the number's 20%, and the gene studies say 20%. So 2 out of 10. And if you think of the 80-20 rule, 20% of the energy of a system will produce 80% of the results. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it's like it appears everywhere in nature. So in a tribe, 2 out of 10 people are going to produce the most energy. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. They're just going to be the energetic sort of epicenter of that tribe, destroying or creating. Right? Go back to the dawn of man to now, that 20% is what made the whole world move forward. So here you are, a man that was probably better built for another time. Right?
You're speaking my language.
Well, you're born in modern society, and your genes are mismatched with the environment that you live in. And so you have this desire to express your genetic potential. Exactly. And then you get what's cool is you started to translate it into the modern world because you found a place that you could kind of run where there is this sort of like ability to achieve, and you did a certain amount of that. And then now I think you're realizing at your age that you never get away from this desire for more. But it sounds like you're starting to look at it through a spiritual lens. And
100%. Yeah. 100%. I realized that I have this thing that I'm always going to fight something. I don't know how to not fight. And, my genetic makeup, my biological predisposition is going to pick for me unconsciously if I don't pick consciously. And for some reason, we can get into the specific reasons, but you just explain them. I need high stakes. I need life or death. And my way my brain is hardwired, it'll pick depression, it'll pick anxiety, it'll pick a girl, it'll pick a money problem, it'll pick leftist, rightist, it'll pick anything and say, that's my dragon to slay. I need to fight against this, right? I need to fight against that, and it'll be myself or it'll be something outside of me. But I think what's equally powerful is the fight toward, or pain of discipline or pain of regret. I don't know how to not fight. I need a bone in my teeth, right? I need something to bite down on and go for it. Martin Luther King says, darkness cannot cast out darkness, only light can do that. Mother Teresa was asked to march against the World War, and she said, call me when you have a march for peace. Like, I'll be there. It's not that I'm not down to be on the front lines. It's just that I know being on the front line of a self-defeating prophecy, of a self-defeating quest against is a toilet bowl that will flush me.
Against versus
I need an upward vortex. So instead of fighting against addiction, I just decided to start fighting for recovery. Instead of fighting against anxiety, I started to start fighting for peace and acceptance. Instead of fighting against my anger issues, I started fighting for forgiveness. Instead of fighting against fear, I started to fight for courage. And they both are freaking hard. They both take a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of time and a lot of mistakes. Just one of them ends me up in court or dead or wishing I was dead, and the other one has me, beating myself up because I haven't, done my morning meditation for the day. Like, I like a fight.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm working on this project that we should talk more about.
Oh yeah.
It's a Netflix series, and it's about this subject matter, and I can't talk a lot about it, but if you have the genes, if your ancestors, the genes that...
I'm a full, firm, staunch believer in exactly what you're talking about.
So what's amazing...
It's the MOA gene?
That's part of it.
Okay.
POMT, DRD4, DRD2. There's 9 different
warrior
ones that
gene.
code for... Yeah, warrior. But then there's also how we form attachments. So whether we bond with people or substances, there's an attachment thing that has to do with the oxytocin system and serotonin. Then there's
and dopamine, right?
And dopamine, So like reuptake issues. And, but that's nerdy stuff that we don't need to talk about.
Which I love too.
Know is that you are part of a lineage that got our whole species here.
Yes.
Okay, so you have the genes that brought our species to abundance and created innovation.
Right.
So here you are, the world's you guys did it. We did it. Okay.
Yeah. There's no drawbridges to break down.
What's next?
The new territory.
And I think I personally believe people like you and I have an obligation to take this energy.
Woo, I'm getting chills, brother.
We have to move the species forward in a new way.
Yeah. Pilgrimage, dude.
Versus dying out and being unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of thoughts about that. I think, a bunch of people came to America. They bred, the most adventure seeking and novelty seeking and most, came here in ships, and not everyone even made it, right? But think about the character that wanted to come here in the first place. Then they all started having babies, and then you ended up with this gene pool of people that are very similar to you. And then we created a system or a frame, which is a government for the greatest expression of human existence possible, which is the American system. And yes, there are lots of flaws with it, but that system produced innovation like no one's ever seen before, and it bled out into the whole world.
Yeah.
But then we're still in the front line. So if you want to know what's going to happen, look at America. So now we're fat and sick and tired and purposelessness. And even not even the 80%, the 80% are all little dopamine monsters.
Right.
So I think you have a responsibility to tell us, I guess I consider myself part of this. I'm also have a similar background.
If you understand, you
have a responsibility to share with the world. Like they want to know what's next, and we have the spiritual. I believe we have a spiritual duty to chart that course, man.
Even though we're the minority. Even though we might never succeed. Because it's tough because majority rules. You got 80% of the people out there, or maybe even more. You can hire an army, right? And you can pay an assassin, but a real warrior is a real warrior.
Sure.
He fights for what he believes in. And he doesn't care if his head gets taken off. Like literally, like you were saying, we are here because only 2 out of those 10 people will run out the bear instead of away. And they don't think about it, they just do it. It's an automatic thing that happens in the amygdala. It's like, I might lose an arm, but if I can poke out both of its eyes, it can't see who to kill, right?
The movie The Revenant.
It clicks in,
Have you heard of Ann Lemke? Have you read Dopamine Nation?
No.
So she's a Stanford addiction medicine. She runs the addiction medicine department at Stanford. And she wrote a book called Dopamine Nation. She was
I've heard of it.
And she says, I believe that the addicts of today are the former hunters and seekers and warriors of another time.
100%.
And that they're just mismatched. So this is not like...
Well, that system you were talking about took our pilgrimages away.
But we built the damn thing. Like if it wasn't for us going, it's never enough. We wouldn't keep building taller buildings and more money and more of this. Like that is.
We weeded ourselves out.
We did. Well, but then that's why I said 10% are addicts and 10% are not. There's 20%. So the 10% that aren't are the people who have figured it out.
They're
still
the
running
ones
things.
Diving out of planes every other day,
or
rock
running
climbing,
large companies,
100%.
Arguably, maybe not even healthy people. But I think what's interesting is if it is 20, right? This is hypothesis. There's data, and the research on this is pretty solid. 10%, self-destructing, 10% high performing. Well, how do you define high performing? Well, this is like your wealthiest, most powerful people, the most successful people in all domains, whether it be military, it could be sports, whatever. But this other 10%, what I'm most interested in, because these sites can flip. oftentimes these people here become the self-destructors. And oftentimes the self-destructors flip over to the high
That's why you see with veterans so much and superstars, because when crowds are not cheering for you, when you don't have that thing that you're fighting for, it's gone. You fail. You settle for a fight against, because at least it's a huge surge of dopamine, and that's all we're really looking for.
Yes. Yeah. So what's so fascinating is when a guy like yourself goes from this. So you were high performer, you flipped over to self-destructor, you played over here for a while, you learned a whole bunch of things, and then you flip back over to high performer in a different way. Yeah. And now I'm wondering what you're going to do.
Rich Davini, by the way, just to real quick, he's friends with Andrew Huberman, but I want to get you on the hard.
Is he local?
I think he might be like in Vermont or something, you know, but yeah, he's in the nation, you know. Okay. He speaks to Fortune 500 companies on how the implementation of this, but he reached out to me, and I'm like, hey, my buddy Rich wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And this guy calls me on WhatsApp, and we just have a call. And he's just like, I'm like, holy shit.
That's cool.
He's like, I was looking at your Instagram. He's like, you think a lot like me. I want to talk to you. And I was like, what the fuck? He doesn't know I'm a drug addict loser. He's a freaking 13-year 6 commander of the Navy SEALs. That's like, amazing. I don't think SEAL Team 6, you know what I mean? Not just SEAL Team 6. Yeah, I'm like, I have something in common with you? No way. And he's like, I feel like this practice could be really beneficial for addicts, and I want to help you understand this and go out and share this with guys. And it has been so incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah. So are you working with him in some capacity?
Yeah, he's just kind of just gifted me, you know, his time and experience and books. And so, you know, I studied him and called him. And yeah, he's going to take part in a veteran funded free program. If you have anybody that really needs it, it's a free program, an 18-month program we're doing in Costa Rica.
18 months long?
Yeah. Well, it's 3 months in person and a continuation aftercare for 18 months. Yeah. And it's fully scholarshiped. It's privately funded.
What's the prerequisite? Like
PTSD and co-occurring substance use.
Okay.
Yep.
We definitely have. Do you have slots available? I mean,
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm at, okay,
we'll talk. So, a tangent, but you were about to say something else.
Well, no, I mean, I think that would be great. And we have, you know, we work with U.S. Special Operations Command. We're part of Warrior Care Coalition. So we treat active duty, transitioning, and their family, right? So, and that's all SOF, Special Operations Forces, so the SEALs and the Green Berets, Rangers, all the... So we're constantly getting calls, and not everyone is best suited for this, and some may want to go do that. So we should talk, and you know, if there's any way I can support too, like,
thank you, man.
We're down to help. I have we have 2 foundations, nonprofits, and we do we do a lot of stuff.
Amazing. I'm going to get you in touch with Scott. Okay. Scott, he owned Costa Rica Recovery. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. He recently bought Cornerstone. And got pushed out somehow, like a few $100,000, and like they went without. I don't know. It's a weird story. I don't know the whole story. But he's working with some great people, and it's his heart. He just wants to help veterans. So I'll put you in touch with him. Yeah,
I mean, anybody. We should definitely. You know how it is when it's like. Life paths go, and sometimes we come together, and maybe it's like this. Sometimes it's like we're cruising alongside and like waving at each other, you know. But everybody's got their stuff. So we talked about the beginning of your life, and you're sort of at this point where you're a young man who's got the world by the balls, but you're also you have a desire to go out and prove yourself and. To get dirty and gritty. You were raised by a single mother, so you didn't have that like stern, rock solid.
Zip zero. I had a mean granny. Sure. As close as I got. I called her Grambo because she was part Rambo, part granny.
Yeah. But yeah, so then you went out in the world and you got the shit kicked out of you by your own. You did it to yourself. Which shaped you, and then you came through that. And developed all of what makes you who you are now, which is way oversimplifying the hell out of all of it. But what are the highlights of what happened to you from the end of Baywatch to your sort of reemergence into the person you are now, which has been quite a few years. But, but like, what's that middle? How do you define that middle section?
Yeah. It's a very interesting question. And the first thing that pops up to me is, the lowlights were the greatest teachers, man. You know, the greatest teachers are great love and great suffering, you know, and I definitely learned from my suffering, luckily, you know, chasing chicks, trying to be a cool guy, nightclub, Mr., you know, whatever. And like the misery and the despair of that not being enough. And how could I be chasing that after I knew already that the fame wasn't enough? Like, why am I still doing that? You know, I've definitely getting sober, you know, 25 years. I've partied, you know, 10% as much as I've been sober or whatever. If you take all my drinking and using together, I've been sober so much longer. And, you know, even being like in recovery half-assed for 10 years, you know, that was a huge, huge lesson.
Was that 10 years from when I met you and when you were probably 19 or so? 20
to like 30, I was staunch, you know, in 12-step recovery and sponsoring guys and, you know, the whole shebang. And it was just a very surface level type, okay, everything will be great if I just don't drink, don't use, don't beat anybody up.
Were you booking and doing any kind of gigs during that time? Were you still acting? And
about around no, I had quit acting completely.
So Baywatch was the end of it all.
I did like some reality shows that really bit me in the ass. That were terrible, terrible choices, terrible experiences, cost me more money than they made. So I, you know, tried a couple layups just for quick money. Celebrity rehab, like stuff like that. But you know, this most recent relapse, almost 6 years ago, something kind of really happened. But I built an empire. You know, at 22, I started doing those fashion shows for Ed Hardy and Von Dutch, and I was all over the world.
So you're modeling at that point too?
I was producing.
Oh, okay.
I was the guy behind the curtain, man, getting paid from the club, getting sponsors and hooking up celebrities and doing this whole, like, that was crazy, you know.
But you were still in this sobriety world through your 20s. Like that was
20 to 30 something.
And at that point, what sort of, are you running around in like the Hollywood AA community, or are you local Orange County?
I was down here. Okay. I was down here.
Do you know Sean Brosnan? Pierce Brosnan's son?
Maybe I've heard of him. I don't think I ever.
He works for me, right?
Oh, really?
So, but remotely. But he's crazy story. Just make it quick. He's going to come on here too. I just have to get him into town.
Nice. Tell him I said what's up.
Yeah. He. Do you know him? Or
I haven't. I know of him. But
yeah. So he, you know, had to start an acting career, didn't get as far as you did, but comes from this family of like, you know,
and then, which is a whole different beast.
Yeah. And then just sort of like denounces all of it after he gets sober, and he's like, I'm going to go to school, and he becomes an LMFT. So, and then he moves his family to Idaho, and he had this cool little house. Nice. He's deeply religious, and he's an amazing clinician. But what's cool about him is that he has a really deep understanding of a similar path that you've had, or anybody who's had tremendous success in one domain and then fell, or, you know, because he sort of comes from this world of, this is what I was supposed to be, this is what was supposed to happen, and then it pivoted. Anyways, I totally digress. So you're doing all this stuff through your 20s.
Running around half cocked, you know. Self-will run riot, you know, I was just unaware, you know, I was ignorant to certain things. And you know, I got married, I moved to LA. I thought I was going to move to LA. I moved to LA with a few $100,000 and a Lamborghini and a penthouse, and I thought I was jacked. You know, I was winning jiu-jitsu tournaments. I was squatting 500 pounds, 210 pounds, just ripped. And I was like, I'm going to be the next Stallone. You know, I thought I'm going to make a comeback. And so I went out there, and I ended up getting so like immersed into strength training and, you know, bodybuilding and supplements and diets and Gold's Gym and Equinox and all these celebrities coming up to me, and like before you knew it, I was
a celebrity trainer,
private chefing and celebrity trainer for celebs and models, and coming over to my house, and I'm doing all their cycles and diet stuff, and it was kind of great. I kind of loved it. Ended up getting married, and that went horribly. I started drinking a little bit and smoking a little bit of weed, and I wasn't really partying because I had that life and I had that wife, right? Mm-hmm. Those were like my staples, and I really lost myself in that. And it got real bad all over again. The marriage fell apart. That rug got pulled out from underneath me, and everything that I thought was my safety net was gone. And so I was just chaotic and super hurting. And it took me a long time to limp back from that one, this long, this long today. Like, this is the day that, yeah. And in that limp, I had 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year. Yeah, it was a very, very strange, wobbly deal. And I think it's a lot because I was just trying to do better or smarter at what I had done before. And it wasn't working, And 6 years ago, I discovered that thing I told you about, the golden key, right?
And that changed everything.
Boom. I literally rewired my mind, to constructively be able to look at everything, to not be my own spelling curse. You know what I mean? I didn't realize that I was casting spells on myself. I was cursing myself.
I feel like you started to give echoes of it even in the way you were just describing Mother Teresa's view. Is that similar?
Yeah, it comes back to that.
Can you tell us, because for people who are listening, because I definitely couldn't repeat what you said.
Yeah.
And I think this is really important. So can you give us an overview?
Absolutely,
of the Golden Keys?
I would love to. And this is going to be a great clip. What I'm about to tell you is so simple and so easy that 99% of people will not do it because it just seems too simple to be true. If you can change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. If you're riding a mountain bike or a dirt bike or driving a car and you have a lane that you want to stay in, if to the left there's a cliff and to the right there's trees, if you stare at the trees, you will veer towards the trees. If you stare at the cliff, you will veer towards the cliff. The mind works in the same way. Where my thoughts go, I go. What I focus on grows. Thoughts become things because thoughts create belief systems. Belief systems are fed by feelings. So in actuality, thoughts create feelings. Feelings create belief systems, and belief systems dictate behavior, and behavior shapes the entirety of our life. Energy is everything because a thought is energetic, because it's intangible. It can't be seen, but it can be felt. My thought creates a feeling. Feelings, thoughts consistently thought will create feelings. Feelings consistently thought will create belief systems. Belief systems tendered to, nurtured, will shape behavior. So in order to change my outside world, I must change my inside world. I cannot expect anything from out here that I cannot expect from in here. The outside world is a mirror of my inside world. My relationships, how much money I make, what I believe I'm capable of, where I can go, where I can't go, who I think is good, who I think is bad, all of this stuff. I am a victim of my own thoughts. And to be victorious, rather than be a victim, I've got to stop blaming people, places, and things, and I got to take radical accountability. I got to start authoring a new story so I don't suffer from the same story. I've got to rewrite the song in my head. And it sounds too easy to be true, but this is how I started. I picked a set of personal phrases that appealed to me, and I just started repeating them all through the day. The first one I ever used, I have tattooed right here. It's embrace the mystery. This practice is called the golden key. I have a G right here with a little skeleton key that looks like a K. The golden key to harmony and happiness. The golden key to overcoming any and all problems on the face of this earth is to stop thinking about my problems and start thinking about what I want. If I want peace, I stop thinking about anxiety. If I want forgiveness, I stop thinking about my resentments, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I want happiness, I stop thinking about how sad I am. And it's far different than ignoring my sadness, right? It's far different than pretending it's not there. It's choosing a constructive force that can come in and neutralize that sadness. And I've got to believe it, or it's got to feel good in my body. It's got to like, you know what? So embrace the mystery. I'll give you like my little list. Embrace the mystery. Nothing is happening to me. Everything is happening through me. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. What's meant for me will be. Nothing's falling apart. Everything's falling together. I am filled and surrounded by perfect peace. I am growing and gaining in spiritual awareness. And so these keys are created for me by me to open a certain door that I believe is locked to me. So I made a decision that I was sick and tired of growing and gaining in problematic awareness. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm always looking at the problem. Mm-hmm. We talked about it. Mm-hmm. I'm always looking at what's missing. I'm always looking at what's not good enough. I'm a warrior. I'm a human sponge. We all are. We're all uploading all this freaking data all the time. And I'm sick of paying attention to the necrotic shit. Mm. You know what I mean? Mm. I want to grow and gain in spiritual awareness because for me, and it might be different for somebody else, I believe that growing and gaining in spiritual awareness will have the ability to make the material awareness what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Not what I think it should be, but what it's supposed to be, what it really is. I believe I will have present moment truth and awareness if I am in touch spiritually. I'll stop blaming, whatever, labeling and all this shit with what's going on. I'll be at peace with what's going on. So I am growing. That is who I am. I'm a person who grows and gains in spiritual awareness. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for little messages and looking for little breakthroughs. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to talk to somebody about it. I'm going to watch a YouTube on it, spiritual development, whatever, because that's what I've just committed to. Nothing's falling apart, everything's falling together. It comes right back to that thing. I'm always looking at what's falling apart because my little old nervous system from millions of years of evolution, there's no saber-toothed tiger, there's no dragon to slay, there's no drawbridge on fire. Sure. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what do I do if there's nothing to fix, nothing to prove, nothing to fight? It's not falling apart, it's falling together. It's falling together. Lose a job? Oh, whew. Good thing I've been reminding myself all day long before it happened out there. In here, I was reminding myself that whatever happens out there isn't against me. It's for me. I've just got to hang on long enough with a good attitude to see it come together. Mm-hmm. And so because I rewired my mind like this, and I'm talking obsessive compulsive freako, like I must have sounded like I had Tourette's. I was singing it, I was saying it, I had it on sticky notes in the odometer of my freaking car, I had it on my home screen, I was bringing it up in every conversation, any opportunity I can. It was my most frequent thought, and because it was my most frequent thought, it was my religion. And because it was my religion, I received those messages.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you come up with tell me, do you have that process? Is that something you can teach to somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. So it comes from Emmett Fox.
No. Your specific statements.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have them all. I got a whole laundry list.
How did you do it though? Like, did you spend time? Did you work with somebody to come up with them, or?
I actually just started paying attention. When you stop not paying attention, when you open the desire, the need, when what is that quote? When the pain of doing what you're doing is too great, you'll start doing something else.
Something like that, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, at 40 years old, living in a sober living on an ankle monitor, on high profile felony probation, realizing I've been on probation for 11 years of my life and I'm already sneaking, doing dumb stuff that like I'm going to end up in prison for the rest of my life because I don't know how to not do dumb stuff. I always end up fucking up. it scared the shit out of me, you know, and I just needed to open that awareness up. So, you know, one of them I use is everything that I have is all that I need. Everything that I need, I already have. Everything that I have is all that I need. Everything that I need, I already have. And I got that from a rap song. I just heard it in a rap song. I was like, oh, I need that. Nothing's falling apart. Everything's falling together. I think that's just kind of something people say sometimes.
Well, yeah, but you had to come up with it at a moment. Did you sit down? Was there like an actual day where you sat down and you were like, here's going to be all my...
I'll tell you that I'm in a sober living.
Sorry.
This is great. No, this is great. You brought this memory on with that question. I'm in a sober living. I'm scrolling through expensive Nikes. Something that I've always done. I get loaded. 60 Nikes that I've collected get stolen from a girlfriend or a drug dealer.
Sure.
I lose everything, have to get sober again, and I got to build my Nike collection up because my cool Nikes, that's who I am.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And I'm putting them in I'm putting them in wish lists. This is $1,500 worth of shoes that I don't have, and I need to figure out how to get it. And you know, I'm gonna pine after. I'm gonna, hope for the day that will come where I'll get to be happy because of the shoes. I already know once it has a scuff on it, they won't be that cool anymore. I already know if someone doesn't notice how cool my shoes are when I walk into the meeting that I'll question my coolness. Like I know the problems that come with it. But I also am stuck in the habit of continuing to do the same old thing because I think that's a sign that I'm successful again. And I was listening to that song. Came on. And I started doing it. I said, everything that I have is all that I need. Everything that I need, I already have. I don't need 60 new Nikes. I don't need that. Everything that I need, I already have. I already have everything that I need. I don't need more. And the craziest thing happened, dude. Instead of buying an expensive pair of Nikes, I bought a cheap pair of barefoot shoes. And I realized that I hate Nikes. That they hurt my feet. My feet don't even fit in them. And I have flat feet and I need barefoot shoes. Now all I wear is barefoot shoes. I will never rock a tight pair of shoe coffins ever again. Now I was stuck in a prison of my own mind, thinking that I needed something. Because the human nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Right? Every time. Every time. Backed, medically proven, and I don't know how to. So I replaced the thought, and my whole experience changed. I had a realization that all of these Nikes, all this time, all this theft, all this not enough accolades, not enough ego boost. You know, somebody else's are more expensive, right? Or there's a new model, and I got to think my way out of a problem that had owned me.
Jeremy, did you consciously, because maybe you knew about the golden keys, and did you consciously say, oh, I'm doing this thing right now and I'm going to use this?
I don't like this feeling. I came through.
And so you said, I'm going to make a mantra right now, or I'm going to create a phrase, a frame, a way in which to see the world that's going to change. So you made a choice in that moment.
Yeah.
So this process of developing these sort of sayings or axioms or whatever you want to call it, is a conscious process. So does a person wait until they experience something like that? How do you identify?
In my experience, if I have a room full of people and I say about 20 of them, there's a little thing that happens right here. You know, we do a little bit of breathing, calm down. We talk about it, and then I give about, I got about 30 of them, at least, maybe more. I call them energy keys now. But you feel this little stir, like that would be nice. That would feel good to feel like that, or to know that. Your intuition says that I want that, especially if you don't have it, right? It's nice if you kind of have it, or it's not about. It's not about like believing it right away is what I want to say. But it's something comes up. It'd be nice if I believed like that. So people delay their gratification. People postpone their healing because they think one day I'll have that, but I don't think they realize that that day has to be right now. And if you would like to feel like that in a week, we got to start thinking and acting in alignment with that version of yourself that has that, which means I need to remind my brain, I am filled and surrounded by perfect peace. I am filled and surrounded by perfect peace. And then a week goes by and you're like, dude, I haven't thought about anxiety I haven't thought about in a week. It's like, yeah, because you were thinking about this.
That's incredible. The way you describe the path and then the cliff and the trees and the thoughts becoming feelings and then behaviors, and then it starts to open up to the world around you. It makes complete sense. And then developing this set. So that's not the goal. The golden keys isn't the development of these. The golden key is this frame, the way of seeing the world. Okay.
Don't think about your problem and think about God instead, which is what Emmett Fox says.
Okay.
And so his golden keys are: God is with me. I'm a child of God. I'm filled and surrounded by the perfect peace of God.
Okay.
And like that, you know.
So he's that's a spiritual teacher, sort of, right? So then, and then you have like 30 energy method keys, and you sort of help people find
which one stirs you, you know, which one stirs you, and let's practice that for a week, and let's talk in a week. And I would say 90% of people or more don't do it, you know, because it's hard to break habits, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Very hard to break habits. It's not that hard to create a new one, but it's hard to break an old one.
What I like about what you're doing for people like us, though, is that obsessive thinking and the ability to like attach heavily and just go. If you can get somebody to adopt this, the chance of them really internalizing is really high.
Yeah.
You know, is we'll just get obsessive about like, this is my thing.
And my buddy Matthew Higgins, I met him in a treatment center. His girlfriend had already stabbed him twice. He was going in and out of IOPs, and it was either IOPs and Skid Row, you know. He was a Navy SEAL, did 2 tours, and he was paying for a kid from this girl who had stabbed him twice that he later found out wasn't even his. And this girl was like screwing other people at the rehab. So homeless and chubby and pale, and I came in and I presented this, you know, and he liked it. And so it's been, I don't know, over 3 years now. Dude's like, he's like the handsomest guy.
Just killing it.
Freaking killing it. Absolutely killing it. Like, you already know the stories, you know. He's driving whatever he wants, living wherever he wants, going where. He's a beaming light of hope and a powerful friend to so many. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
And he practiced it. He was on a bus, and he got kicked out of treatment or whatever. And he was on a bus back to Oklahoma, which was going to be bad, you know. And he started golden keying it, you know, and whatever. Things started to emerge. It's a fairy tale ever since. Yeah.
I am so this idea that our thoughts shape reality is such an important one. We teach this thing here. We teach it in our lead. We have 2 ways we teach it. So we have the internal and external application of positive potential lens, which is what we teach the staff. And I remember when I first got into this field, I was really disturbed by the idea that, so you know, like a treatment team meeting, you know what that is? People get together and talk about a client.
Yeah.
Treatment team meetings in treatment centers are focused on taking the person. They're typically, because there's such an administrative burden to running this kind of business, you get a group of people together, and the goal is, how do we fight for this guy to stay here and get insurance to pay for it? Right? So we have to create an argument for insurance companies. So what you have is you've got a committee of people. This is traditional treatment. This isn't what we do here. You get a committee of people doing everything in their power to find the thing about the guy that's still screwed up.
Wrong. Yeah.
And then they create they use the power of the word to write a story about how fucked up this person is. So they now have this document that they're pretty convicted about, so they can defend it in like a peer-to-peer review, and they send it to the insurance company. That's called a utilization review, and that allows them to get more days authorized. Well, I see this as a fundamental problem, because if you get the group of people that are meant to see that the person at their greatest potential in order to heal them, if they're looking at them through this negative lens, they're going to organize themselves in that direction.
Energetically siphoning him.
Yes. And so I tell guys here all the time, like if I hear anyone talk about a client like, oh, that's just what he does, or in a negative way, I mean, that's a way to get fired here, basically, because and I tell them all the time, if you can't see this person being successful, they will not become successful. So this is the idea that how other people feel about us actually can affect us as well, which is really disturbing thought. And then there's science on this too. There's something called the Rosenthal experiment. Do you know about this? So there's a guy named David Rosenthal. He was a doctor. He was at MIT. He did a study on rats. He took 100 rats. He put them in a cage, same rat species, same rat model.
Is it a rat park thing?
No, this is different.
Okay.
And then he had 2 cages, like one labeled dumb rats, one labeled smart rats, and he grabs one out of the middle of the cage and arbitrarily throws it in the dumb pile and in the smart pile. So he's got 50 and 50, arbitrarily chosen as smart and dumb. Then he puts a thing up to have students come and measure how fast the smart or dumb rats will get through a maze. Doesn't tell the students that he just fucking arbitrarily flipped them over.
I don't know where you're going.
Students come in, they're blind to what's going to happen. They run the rats through the maze, and he had a hypothesis that the ones that were labeled smart would go through faster, and the ones who were labeled dumb would go through slower. And this is well documented. It's called the Pygmalion effect, or the Rosenthal effect, or it's the foundation of strength-based psychology.
What Malian? Think-Malian?
Pygmalion.
Pygmalion, okay.
Yeah, and so basically he did it in rats. He published, his peers were like, you got to replicate it. He replicated it. He was like, this is amazing. And his peers were like, yeah, it's probably not applicable to people. He says, yes, it is. I think it is. Let's try it. He did it in a 2nd grade classroom. He told a teacher that all these students were going to become geniuses. They tested them, and they were so brilliant. Totally arbitrarily chose 7. They came in, they put cameras in, they watched it. Those 7 students flourished. They realized that the way that the teachers felt about the students changed the little micro nuances of their behavior. So like they were just kind of teaching to the student a little bit more, or tapping them on the back, or giving them that look of like, I knew you were going to be winning today. And so that became the birth of this whole idea that how we feel about others, that we will basically look for evidence to support our beliefs in the world. Okay, so what you're describing is exactly that. We will look for evidence to support our beliefs, and then our bike will move in that direction. So it's brilliant, because there's a huge body of research behind this idea. And then it gets even crazier, because then it becomes like, whenever I tell people that story, I say, why did the rats do better on one side versus the other? The more woo-woo folks are like, because the students transferred energy, positive energy. And the scientific folks, the scientific folks are like, they did the exact same. There's no way they could be different. What's interesting now, though, with quantum physics and some of the other ideas around our beliefs and how they can literally physically affect the world, there's actually like another layer above the woo-woo and then science. There's like where they could converge and there could be more. And then it's biblical too. It's like when I say mountains move and the mountains move, and can you take this to a line where you get like supernatural level of ability, and you're literally painting the picture of the universe in front of you as you So,
as a man thinketh, so shall he become. Be not conformed by the things of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing of your mind. If you think about new, right? I'm thinking about cracking open a pair of Vans that have never been worn. There's a smell. There's a very specific.
I can smell it. Like when you said it, I know exactly what you mean.
We know what new is, right? And when it's not new, we know it's not new. And so a new mind is like, the world is my oyster, right? I'm just radical, inquisitive, curious. I don't know hot. I don't know cold. I don't know anything. I'm coming at it. And like, that's the whole point of the Bible, is to return to being like a child, right? To being as innocent as a dove and sharp as a serpent. Sure, the past has taught us some stuff, but it doesn't have to dictate how we are.
That's true.
I always say, I say, assume the best and act as if.
Assume the best and act as if. Sure.
I might get hit by a bus tomorrow. Do I want to be happy, joyous, and free between today and tomorrow? Or do I want to be like, I don't know, man, something's off, something's weird, I feel bad about it. Like, I'm still getting hit by a bus. I want to enjoy this time. Right?
That's that leads to the idea about death too. It's like, you only ever are thinking about tomorrow until you're in a moment where you realize that this moment today is like all you really actually have, and it could slip away at any moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do we get there to where on a daily basis we're thinking that way? Maybe it's through something like the energy method, where you can stay in that place of a certain style of thinking. I don't know.
There's the set aside prayer. God, help me set aside everything I think I know about myself, everything I know about recovery, everything I think I know about you, about others, so that I may have an open mind and a new experience. I think the mind's like a parachute, and it works better when it's open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in that way, if I'm going to have an open mind in that way, I do need to die to old ideas. I do need, in order to have a new experience, I'm going to need to surrender what I think I need and what I think I know, and that's why I embrace the mystery is so big for me. I do believe that I'm a creator, created in the image of the creator. I didn't create the world, and I can't create your world, but I can create mine. And I think my thoughts, as we talked about some of those Bible passages, I think when the Bible's talking about the seed and the ground and the harvest, I think they're talking about a thought. I think a thought is a seed, because if I showed you a handful of seeds and I told you we're going to eat forever off this, you're going to laugh at me. What? I can't eat. I can't even get full off what's in your hand. Yeah. But I'm like, I swear. I see it in my mind. But until that seed is put into some good ground and tended to, and then all of a sudden I call you 6 months later and I got this wild field of blueberries, and you're like, holy smoke, how did all this happen? The seed is the thought. The ground is the heart, really, or like your soul, or the feeling we talked about. The thought, the feeling, and then the outward world is like the harvest. And I'm a firm believer in that. And the only thing cutting me off from that is like what I think I know, what I think I need, who I think I am, who I think God is, what I think is possible. And so, Buddhists talk about, if you can die 1,000 times in a lifetime, you'll take nothing away. Like on your deathbed, you'll be happy, joyous, and free. And actually on the Balanced Man retreat, I told you a little bit about the death ceremony we do. And so we take a good 20 minutes, got some real sappy classical music playing, and it's after a really long hike. We do a 4-hour hike. So when guys come back from this hike, we, hour down, hour and a half up, and it's 90 degrees outside. They're like, holy smoke. And then we lay down, and eye mask on, and put a recorder right here on their chest, and I walk them through a meditation where their breaths get shallower and their mouth gets dry, and they feel heaviness. And then they start to picture themselves in a hospital room. And in that hospital room, it's more drawn out than this, but in that hospital room, they realize that this is their last 20 minutes on the face of this planet, and nobody's with them. And all they have is their phone to record some messages that they want to get out to people, some realizations, their last words, And I ask a series of questions, and they kind of move around a bit, but it's usually something to the effect of, what did you get the most joy out of in life? What brought you the most joy? Questions like, who do you want to forgive before it's too late? What bondage, baggage do you not want to take with you? What human being do you not want to suffer while still alive, even though you're gone? If there's some wisdom that you want to leave with, maybe this is going to be read on the news, maybe this is going to be read at your eulogy, I don't know. But what do you wish you wouldn't have spent so much time on? Where was your time wasted? And just a series of questions like that. And, it's crazy when you really get still and look inside, the type of clarity that can come up, right? The answers they're so clear. They're so obvious. And in the busy world with the stuff, and, because we're in a rush, we'll get to it later. You know what I mean? They get it. They understand. Yeah, they'll forgive me, right? I'll make it up, another time. I don't have enough time. It's not that important, whatever. We just make all these excuses, and it's so easy to rationalize until there's no do-overs, until there's no second chance, right? Until this is the last 20 minutes. Holy shit. Everything I did. I can't pretend anymore. I can't undo it. I can't pull that person in front of me and say it now. And so we get a lot of that stuff out, and that starts to play into sort of the roadmap of how we help them create their manifestos. Have
you personally done this?
Yes. Yeah, I've done it a lot of times. And actually, on the fourth one, I was like, holy shit, kind of much like the writing assignment I did with Gio. Mm-hmm. You know, you write, you say all the stuff, and it's sappy at first, right?
Mm-hmm. It starts super light.
It starts like, wow, you know, I got all these questions, right? All this uncertainty, like, oh, I wish I could have, should have, why didn't I, blah, blah, blah. But eventually you're like, whoa, I'm clear. Like I could go and be totally fine right now. Mm-hmm. You know, that's pretty fucking precious.
That is precious. Yeah. That's so amazing. That's pondering death, I think, is one of the most amazing ways to, or it's most powerful ways to experience life, right? To truly be here.
Yeah.
And that's why people who are so close to death are so incredible to be around, you know?
The wisdom to glean there.
Yeah. It's like there's like almost an enlightenment that comes from people when they're right at that edge.
All it is acceptance.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. That's probably it.
Acceptance
probably.
and surrender.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, this is it.
Do you have peace with your life if you were to go tomorrow?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. You got a glimmer in your eye to where I believe you.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I'm out here kicking ass and taking names the best I can. I mean, the more time I have, the more I think I can improve and do better. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't really think I'll ever be, but I know that I at least have been giving my best effort for quite some time.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do.
Are you like would you consider yourself like a spiritual teacher, like a guru, a business person? I mean, it's not a business person, although you are a business person. A coach?
It's a good question, man.
Yeah, what the hell are you, Jeremy?
You know, in this day and age, you're supposed to have like a niche, right? You're supposed to...
Labels suck too, right? So labels sort of suck. So you could say, I don't want to even put a word on it, but what are you?
You are. You
sound like a guru, which I don't want. That sounds super weird to say.
Demographic. Well, you know what guru means? Taker of darkness, which I like.
Yeah.
You could call me a taker of darkness. I've been called a lot of things. I've been called a shaman. I've been called a guru. But I think I would say that if there was a state that I could achieve to the best of its ability, it would be just to be a good friend, to be the ultimate friend.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it actually makes more sense to me because I see you seem to me like a man who is you seem way more like a monk to me, or like somebody who's on a deep spiritual quest that just continues to peel things back. Like there's no way you could have had the youth you had, the experience you've had, like without having your wrestling ego. There's no way you couldn't be. Meaning it's like, I'm supposed to be special, important, different, but you definitely carry, most people, all humans have this, but you in your position, there's no way you can't have a huge of that, right? You just can't. It's like, you have to, but then you have a light in you that is impossible to ignore. So you're overcoming a lot of it. That's why I don't think, a good friend is like the perfect way. Because as you continue to develop this and the energy method, what if it means that you become famous and then all of a sudden, I'm back on the path. Everyone's going to love me. Everyone's loving him. Everyone's looking at me. Right? I'm Jeremy Jackson. I'm this guy.
Yeah. Like, that's what's going on. I'm secretly trying to take the back door to getting famous again by tricking everybody into loving me.
I don't know that that's the case, but I don't think once you have that in your life, like this is the thing about ego. I think when we're chasing that, it almost never comes, but you were there.
Yeah.
But then what happens is like people who truly transcend, it seems like they stop caring about that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter anymore. I see. It feels like you're in that space. I'm feeling like I'm being really audacious to talk this way, but I don't know you that well. These are all feelings, man.
I deeply appreciate it, and I receive it. You know, there was a long time where I couldn't receive that type of kindness and that type of compliment. But at the same time as I receive it, and I'm so grateful, and it's a tip of the hat that, you know, I'm doing God's work. I don't believe that anybody that doesn't have it also can see it. If someone can see it, it means that it's God in them recognizing God in me. It's the divine spark in you that recognizes the divine spark in me. You know, and the two droplets of the ocean that contain the whole ocean, and we come together, and it's just a little bit bigger of a droplet. You know, it's the tuning fork that's 442 that buzzes the tuning fork that's 442. But if the tuning fork is 442 and this one's 440, you buzz this one, and this one doesn't vibrate at all. Sure. So my vibration is vibrating you. So like attracts like, kind of spot it because you got it thing. Yeah. So congratulations on that. And it also means a lot to me because I've always looked up to the program that you've created and the work that you do, and I know how critical and cautious and specific you guys are, and I've always been like, I only knew like the undercurrent of it, but I could feel it. I could feel that there was a lot of intentionality and research and development and specificity that went into what you were doing.
That means a lot to me. Yeah, because it's true. Like I'm a steward of it. I'm at the helm, but there's a lot of us, so it's not just me, and it's meant to be very easily engaged, like you can easily engage with all of it, but if we sat down and really got into it and you knew the nuance and how much we're looking at every piece, it always blows everyone's mind. It's like, and it's not, that's just the depth is insane that's there.
Well, just with that piece with with the rats and how your treatment team thinks of people, that's come to me many, many times in 12-step rooms. It's like, how many times in a 12-step room does somebody say, that guy's never going to make it? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, what? You specifically say in the book, we don't shoot our wounded, right? Yeah. Like, and then you're just saying this guy's, everything you're doing is wrong and you're never going to make it. I'm like, you're damning this guy.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Like we take it. So internal and external application is. I literally tell the staff, like, you have to have it in your head that this person can be successful.
They can all be superstars.
Yeah.
They can all be needle movers.
External application is when you when you actually say to somebody, you notice that thing and you shine a light on it and you just point it out. You don't have to do anything about it. It's just like, I just saw you do this and it was extraordinary. And then we teach the guys at 3 months something called Brother's Keeper. And our little the way we work on it is you want to have a relationship with somebody where, like, for you and I would look like this. You have to tell me just this vision for what you have in your life. I tell you the same. It could be anything. It could just be a vision that I want to be sober, or I want to be happy, or I want to have this thing or do this thing. But you have to share your vision. And then the goal is that you want the other person in your life to be able to truly see that as possible. So much so that anything that you do that doesn't align with that is confusing. So this isn't an accountability person. Yeah. It's like if you and I had spent more time together and you told me, like, Justin, this is kind of where I see it all going. Right. And I loved you enough to give a shit enough to allow myself to dream that with you. Then we share this dream. And then now my world, and if you get 5 people like that in your life and they're around you, they sort of act as this, like, everything you do that doesn't align with that, they're sort of tapping you back towards that. And it's incredible when you have that. Like, all my staff, we are all in like this with each other. I mean, I know what not everybody, because Luke still has to tell me his vision for the podcast. but I kind of know where people want to go and or like what they're aiming for. And we're all clear about that. And then we're supporting each other by just believing. It's like a knowing, like, in the same way the teachers were lied to about the students, they had to be lied to get to a state of knowing versus like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to pretend like Luke is going to make the podcast so successful.
It's got to be authentic.
He's smiling in there. It's like, I have to know he is. And if I know he is, I'm going to look at him and anything he does that doesn't align with that, it's just going to be like, that's weird. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Healed people, right? Yeah. And so, like, what you're doing is not only really good for the client, it's super good for the staff too.
Yeah.
And so if it's good for, it's a win-win. It's good for the whole of humanity, right? It's definitely pleasing in the eyes of God. Needle movers create needle movers, you know? And I don't know if you've seen that study with the hermetically sealed plants and a healthy plant in the inside in a hermetically sealed jar, and plants surrounding it that have cancer. And they're sealed. They're literally airtight, sealed. In the dark, the healthy plant stays healthy. The cancerous plants have cancer. But as soon as you apply light, specifically red light, but any normal light that it'll have a red light in it. But red light specifically, the one in the middle gets cancer.
Why is that?
Because frequency carries information.
Oh my gosh.
So what we're talking about is the knowing is a frequency, and that knowing is carrying the frequency of that information. It's imprinting that person with the negativity, right? And so they do it the same with a cancerous plant and healthy plants, and the cancerous plant gets healed.
I want to learn about that more. That sounds super interesting.
They did it also with a human stem cell etched into a hologram or something into a flashlight, right? Like a special crystal lens that had a human stem cell. And they worked on people, but they did a salamander stem cell shown through a light, a flashlight, into a tadpole frog pupa, or whatever you would call that little sack, and it hatched as a salamander. And they did it with ducks and chickens as well. So you can get a chicken egg to hatch as a duck, and a duck to hatch as a kitchen, because you're carrying the information of a stem cell of a duck into a chicken egg, and it comes out as.
You gotta send me.
Promise
that.
you.
Yeah, it sounds like
Google
magic,
it.
But I will. I'm gonna suspend disbelief until I read about it. That sounds fucking awesome. Speaking of some stem cells, you are like, I've seen a few times. You go down to South America, or not Central America, and you're doing all kinds of different stuff. Are you still into all of that, or is
much less? I used to be like Mr. Peptide, stem cell, biohacking. That was a wave I was on.
You were kind of ahead of everyone.
In 2008, I went on celebrity rehab for steroid addiction. Right now, meanwhile, I was injecting IGF, I was injecting HGH, I was injecting B12, I was injecting glutathione, I was injecting procaine solution, which if you research procaine is like this fountain of youth. So I was doing like 11 injections a day. Granted, I was doing my testosterone injections as well, but when they came to my house and they saw all these vials, I had $100,000 worth of IGF in my freezer, insulin growth factor. Sure. And it looked like I was out of my mind, because who does that in 2008? Now, if you open up Instagram, everybody's doing 11
people
injections.
People are like into it, doing dances with their peptide.
Right.
Yeah.
So, to say the least, 15 years ago, I was doing the peptide thing. I was definitely into it. And these days I've lost interest in that, like 45-minute routine, self-focused of trying to achieve a result. It's just like, I've tried to bring myself to get back into it, and it's just it doesn't align with me.
Was it like a year? When was it that you did the is it myostatin?
Yeah, myostatin inhibitor. I think that was a little over 2 years ago now.
Can you tell the audience what that is?
And it was highly effective. So myostatin, or follistatin rather. Follistatin is a peptide that, when taken, like any peptide, over the course of some days, every day in a row, the introduction of follistatin slowly brings down your body's myostatin. As you age, your body's myostatin levels go up. Especially if you've been on testosterone replacement therapy, your myostatin really goes up. And myostatin is a specific peptide in your body that limits your ability to grow muscle.
Myostatin limits your ability to grow muscle.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it's heightened, right?
So when you take testosterone, it limits your ability to grow muscle?
Over the course of time, that myostatin slowly goes up.
So,
right?
Gotcha.
And so Belgian blue steer are born with no myostatin. There's been some anomalies, genetic
These are
mutations.
the buff bulls.
Yeah, pure bull
Gotcha.
veins and all that. I think that world's strongest toddler, he was born with no myostatin. There's some dogs and some frogs.
Ronnie Coleman, I believe they think had some myostatin difference.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so the reason it's potentially a problem is because your heart is a muscle. So if you don't have myostatin, your heart will gain in size and be too big for your body, and you'll die pretty early.
Yeah.
Also, ligaments and tendons can only hold so much. So if you're born with no myostatin, you'll be so strong and have so much muscle that you'll probably rupture ligaments and tendons all the time because they can't keep up.
So myostatin puts the brakes on muscle growth. Got it. Okay.
So taking follistatin can inhibit myostatin.
Is follistatin naturally occurring in the body, or is it some man-made thing?
It probably is.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it that much, but I'm going to say absolutely it is, because when you're injecting follistatin, it's not actually follistatin. It's a follistatin secretagogue, right?
Okay.
It's triggering, or it's an activator of your own. Anyway, I had a doctor that works with a lot of celebrities, Kim Kardashian and Zac Efron, and who's the girl that played Pepper Potts on Iron Man?
I don't know.
Blonde hair, beautiful actress. Anyway, superstar. He treats her, treats everybody, and he came up with a gene mutation, and so it is a long-acting follistatin, one injection that lasts 2 years, potentially longer, and it works with something called a vector. So the vector is an inert bacteria or an inert virus, either one, and that bacterium paired with follistatin gets into your genes, and it edits your genes. And so now the introduction of this into your gene slowly pushes down your myostatin.
That makes sense.
And it's because it's slow. It's not like crushing it. You're in less likelihood of having no myostatin, so you have heart hypertrophy or injure yourself. However, I did injure myself quite a bit. My strength gain was very fast. I was doing jiu-jitsu every day, and my partners didn't even know that I had gotten it. And my buddy was like, "Dude, what's up with your grip?" He's like, "It's always been really good, but I can't get your grips off me." And I was like, "Ha ha ha," right? And but within 3 months, every finger was sprained on my finger. I was stronger than my ligaments could keep up with. So all my fingers got injured. I tore something in my lat, deadlifting, and so
you don't recommend
incremental strength gain is actually kind of important. No, I would recommend it. It's fantastic if you have $25,000 to drop. What I recommend in actually doing deeper research is that if you're really looking for muscle growth, working out with light weight will produce more muscle growth than heavy weight, because your myostatin will go down more. You actually don't want to damage it. You just want to activate it. So you want to be cautious. You're not weighted pull-ups and dips. Even though you can, it's kind of dangerous because you might tear something.
That's interesting. Yeah, this is working. I mean, it's so vast in terms of opinions and ideas, but you've been at it for so long and you've been training people. So it's interesting to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. And the other cool thing about it is when you open up something called your mTOR cycle, muscle protein synthesis, your muscles are not limited, that actually activates a lot of fat loss potential, because what you're eating is going to muscles. You have this switch that gets flipped back on. So the potential of more fat loss and or utilizing fat for energy, especially as we age, it's less likely to utilize that fat, So you actually get leaner. And when your mTOR cycle's on and the muscle protein synthesis is up, that actually activates a whole bunch of inflammatory proteins. So you also get reduced inflammation from this shot. So it has some beneficial things, some life extension things.
Where do people go to get it?
Dr. Adil Khan. He is in Dubai and he's in Cancun.
He's super famous, right?
Super famous.
Yeah, I think I've seen him before. I feel like that name.
Okay. Yeah, he's working with Nobel Peace Prize winners for stem cells and creating stem cell scaffolding, where he uses your own fat and he mixes it with the stem cell
and all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great.
That longevity stuff's interesting.
For sure.
How much of it do you think at this phase in your life? How much let me rewind and frame a little bit. So we've got this body, the flesh, right? Mm-hmm. The beast part of who we are that's interacting with nature for however long we're here on Earth, and the soul that's in there driving that body. You and I both spend time really messing with the physical stuff.
Yeah.
Where are you at now? Like with that, do you care so much about that? Or are you trying to grow and nurture this spiritual part of who you are and sort of denounce the flesh more?
Yeah.
Or?
That's a great question. And I actually went through a funky phase I didn't go to the gym for 6 months, and I tried, and it was like, a bro box, it's just like sweaty, pimply, like, guys posing in the mirror and just doing all this stuff. I was like, whoa, I can't believe I loved this for so long. Mm-hmm. And I was about to be on that like denounce tip, mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just not meant for it. And then I actually did a very interesting healing called a cura with a lady from Purépecha Nation, which is now Jalisco, Mexico. Very interesting. So Jalisco was the only city that never let the Spanish take over, right? They preserved their lineage and their principles and their teachings and their textbooks and all that stuff. They didn't let themselves get colonized. And so it was, she swaddled me up in this tight thing, which is supposed to represent death, and rubbed me down with all these flowers and did all this wild stuff. But it was very, nurturing and kind, and there was no medicine involved. She was singing, and, we did some breathing together and different stuff like that. That was the medicine. So there was medicine involved. Mm-hmm. But she did a Mayan astrology reading for me, based on the Mayan calendar. Mm-hmm. And she told me that my sign is death. And she read all this stuff, and she told me that it's very important for my sign to be physically fit, because this healer energy and this this personality type or whatever, that we can ail very easily, like succumb to weakness if we're not staying active. And so
that's
like,
amazing.
I was like, I found my purpose to work out again. You know what I mean? I was like, awesome.
You got to be spirit. You're like, I was on the path of like, becoming like the fasted, like skinny, like
totally.
I'm trying to,
I lost 20 pounds. Yeah. I lost 20 pounds of muscle.
Holy shit.
In 6 months.
That's crazy.
So I was trying to yoke up and getting it on. Mm-hmm. And I did notice, like, the longer I didn't work out, like there was a lot of scar tissue, and I was like really sore. It wasn't like helping. Taking time off didn't help. I was having like low back stuff. And so I probably spend more time stretching now, which is totally new for me. I never did that. I was very much blinders on, grit and bear it.
Do you do yoga?
No, I don't like yoga for some reason.
Okay. Doesn't speak to you.
No. I like stretching. Mm-hmm. Like, I like stretching, not so much for like stretching, like I'm going to elongate this muscle, but for like functional movement, like warming up, like turns and holds. And and this is new to me, but I kind of realized that like, I've got to be able to like have a conversation and a relationship with my body. I've always kind of like did this to my body, like, fuck you, you're going to grit and bear it. Mm-hmm. And so, I put the headphones in and put some like nervous system calming music on, and I'll just sit there and like, oh wow, oof, I didn't even know that existed. What is that? And so like developing a relationship with my body and with stuff that's going on in it, and kind of like giving it permission to let go and to work out, to love it a little bit.
Yeah.
I never did that before. That's been kind of very new for me. So that's been fun, and yeah, so I still get after it with kettlebells and some body weight stuff, but I haven't thrown any weight on my back in a long. He won't find me on a flat bench,
Yeah, that's good. It's good to have seasons and do different things. I always am trying to reinvent what I'm trying to do. I've done like competitive stuff, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to gain weight, and then I just got off a 6-month kettlebell kick, but I've been gone for 5 weeks, so I feel like literally lost 8 pounds. Like I feel small.
Yeah, it goes quick.
T-shirts fit different. Yeah, I'm not naturally bigger. Like I'm a pretty skinny guy. So
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, so everything disappears fast. But there's like, for me, there's got to be a reason. It's only like looking good goes so far. It's not enough. Yeah. And it's like performance. It's like, okay, what about just learning? And yeah, it's a constant thing for me, you know, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But I do think a lot about the body and the, you know, so like sometimes I talk about limbic system and frontal cortex and the brain and this battle going on between, you know, the two sides. And then other times it moves to more of a spiritual conversation. And it's like, what am I supposed to do here? And
the good old anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Yeah.
Got to go in there and do the stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah. I wanted to do a study on it. I actually had a contract with the Newport Radiology right on PCH. You know, super good price per brain scan. All based on Huberman's little thing.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem was when I was trying to find a principal investigator to like, let's do this. We're gonna test people's AMCC.
Yeah, because that's just a theory right now, right? If you look it up, it's not proved.
Well, no, there's a paper called The Tenacious Brain. But maybe if Andrew Huberman hears this, it would be, I'm kind of pissed. Yeah. And I called his buddy who, you know, I was like, okay, so anyways, he made this claim about the anterior mid-cingulate cortex that when you do hard things, it gets bigger, and that if you're not doing hard things, it gets smaller. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing because I believe that resilience is a very important part of recovery.
Right.
And
I got proof. I'm living proof. Yes. It works.
And then Treehouse is very heavily focused on building resilience. So I thought, let's do this. Maybe we have a biomarker for grit or a neuromarker for grit. Let's measure AMCC at the beginning of treatment. Let's measure it at the end, and then let's correlate post-treatment relapse with how much change in the AMCC we saw.
Anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Yeah,
AMCC.
Sorry, AMCC. Thank you. But then I started talking to all these scientists, and they're like, the change, the size, like you do know that the brain, if you just hydrate it, it could double in size, or it could change dramatically, not double, but it could change dramatically in size. And so pretty much everybody was saying they couldn't find the data to support his claim. And I was so bummed. So I was like, what in the fuck? Why would he say this? Right. And I was so annoyed. I was like, I asked his buddy, I was like, why would he do that? Because that went viral.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people.
Well, what about Eamon?
Eamon would be an interesting person.
Because they do that SPECT scan. It might be better than what traditional places do.
It was more, I mean, I could do the study, but the question is, and you could measure the size, but really I learned that it's not necessarily the size. I always like to think of it like a pair of nuts in your head, and like you want to get big nuts. And and what's interesting about it is it intersects, it's actually part of the limbic system, and it ties into the frontal cortex, and this relationship between, you know, the limbic system is trying to avoid pain and chase pleasure. You know, this is like the kind of the force of the life force of the human. And then you have the frontal cortex, which is like the sail and how you direct that force, right? And what's interesting is this thing wants to avoid pain, and this thing has to override. Like, hey, Jeremy, I know that this is cold, but you should keep going, like, because you want to for some future, you know, gain, which is discipline, right? So the AMCC appears to be this like amazing modulator between these things, and if it could grow and shrink in size based on how strong we are, it would be one of the most important advancements, because you could measure that in people going to college, and you could be like, oh, this person's more likely to be successful, or even selection for special operations forces. So, but anyways, I'm not dead. It's not dead yet. But I couldn't find any kind of radiologist or imaging person that was like.
I wonder if Eamon has a better that scan that they use is SPECT, not CAT scan, SPECT, not PET, or there's different ones, but maybe theirs shows more. We were going to use MRI. And then maybe you just have to control like the people you chose, like their diet and their fluids had to be really regimented.
I mean, we could test the water, you know, the hydration level in the body before. I mean, you can look at cellular all matched
sodium. And
that might be
the limiting factors you could procure and perfect before they get scanned, so it's always spot on.
If we discovered that was true, and we discovered that the people that had the largest anterior mid-cingulate cortex stayed sober for the longest duration, then it would be an if then. Well, if we know that that is true, we know it grows bigger from doing hard things, therefore all treatment should be focused on doing hard shit. And then it just becomes like, wow, we just change the treatment space and we improve outcomes. I mean, it's such an important study to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was told, like, I can't find the research on it. There is a paper, Tenacious Brain, but it's not really, anyways.
Yeah, because I was talking to Chat. I talk about this a lot. I do groups on this, you know, and it doesn't matter, like dancing in front of people. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything, just go do it. You don't even have to do it that long. You just got to do it. And it's kind of like, it's almost a physical iteration of the golden key.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, change. And so I teach on that actually a lot because people need to know.
Do you know about Kundalini?
A little bit, not really.
A lot of what you're describing, my sister's like a big Kundalini person, and a lot of what you're describing around breath work, most of Kundalini is yoga, but they talk about buzzing in the hands and the root chakra and like people having these Kundalini experiences where their bodies like freak out. Yeah, I could see what's beautiful is Kundalini was created and it sort of emerged almost like it was a spiritual gift that came from some other place to the people that maybe you're having something similar happen.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you did Kundalini and you realized that you like...
just imploded?
Yeah. You won't though if you hate yoga.
My guy that originally taught me breath work, my first guy, he did Kundalini. He was certified, you know, whatever they call him. He had a little beanie and did his little sadhanas and his kriyas, and he was doing all that kind of stuff. And I went to one class with him.
You wear a white turban?
What's that? Yeah, wear the white turban. But then I was freaked out. Back then I was freaked out. Just because, I don't know, I was basically chanting like some other name for God, you know? And I was weird, like, maybe this is weird, you know? So it was a little weird for me, but my outlook has changed a lot since then. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I want to go, there's a place called Halos. Halos is in Costa Rica, and it's Stanislav Grof's retreat center. And it's this huge, beautiful retreat center with geodesic domes and workshops and classes and, you know, and I called them up and I was like, when's your next, you know, holotropic breathwork? Like, they don't do any. I'm like, what? Like, do you know where any are going on? Like, is there anybody that learned from Grof that it teaches? And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, it's really hard to find. If you find one, I would love to actually go and participate in a holotropic Stanislav Grof method, workshop, retreat, weekend, day, whatever. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. It sounds like there's something mysterious about that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll see if I can learn about it. And I have to learn more about this subject in general.
We all do.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm super grateful that you came on here.
Me too, man.
And I feel like I know you more now, so it's good.
Likewise.
Yeah. We'll be working together more. So,
cool.
Jeremy Jackson, thank you.
God bless you, Justin. Love
God bless you.
you.